So that didn't work, did it? Something ate my audio and I totally didn't notice because the bar was off the bottom of the screen. I can see it flickering now. So we have audio this time. Take two. So yeah, I thought I'd talk about what makes the inner workings of the Quad Screamer tick. What's really cool. This is going to be a deep, dark dredge down into the technical blah of it all. It's not going to be anything fun with sound clips, so if you just want to rock out, it's not for you guys. But if you want to have your head melted a little bit and learn all about how it works, what's going on in there and why it's cool, yeah, let's do this. So straight up, first thing first, the thing that stands out, we have our 4 clipping stages. Why just 4? Why these particular clipping stages? What's going on? What was the choice here? Well, I really believe in only making good sounds that work. I don't want a lot of options that don't work. Now, in the bad old days of the 80s, 90s even, 90s digital effects, we would just give you guys all the options and say, hey, the tech guys did their side, it's your turn to work out what works. And of course, 99% of those sounds were bad. I mean, not dislikable, just bad. And you're always hunting for the good sound. So we're past that, we're in the future now. We want all sounds to be good. So I don't want to give you that. I want to make everything work. And so what we have here, the first piece of clever fandoolery that's going on, is a secondary circuit that level balances these. So it's transparent, it's clear, and it does like a makeup gain kind of thing. So we know germanium's quieter than silicon. Everyone who's ever had a germanium and silicon switch will know this. They're like, yeah, loud, oh, it's gone quiet. Why not get rid of that? So I have level balanced all of these, and equally LED's loud. And so from left to right, these are really dominant and loud through to subtle and quiet. And the makeup gain stage will make them all about the same. Now, it isn't perfect because how you set your gain control changes a lot of other factors, but at sort of 12 o'clock with neutral settings, they're all pretty close. And so we can go from our silicon to our germanium and hear a similar volume. So that's really important. Transparency, you don't need to know what's happening. It just does the job and it lifts it out of the mix, as it were. Now, each of these has a different clipping arrangement. 2 of them are symmetrical, which are the LED and the silicon, and 2 are asymmetrical, which is the Mosfet and germanium. Asymmetric means it clips differently on the positive stroke of the electronic wave to on the negative stroke. And that is common in certain tube amplifier clipping stages, particularly class A ones, where it clips more one way to the other, and it creates a very pleasing, subtle, sweet kind of sound. Now, we don't always want that. Sometimes we want a harsher sound. So what we find is for the LED and the silicon, that slightly sharper, harsher sound is right, and so I've chosen the correct ones. And for the Mosfet and the germanium, the sweeter clipping sounds right. So that's done for you guys. So you're not having those wasted settings that just, there's always going to be one outlier who uses them. We can't cover everything, but they're all good, so we haven't got 900 bad settings. Now you can stack these as well, obviously. That's one of the cool features. We can just stack them up. Now, when we stack them up, the gain does go up, the output levels go up. So we're all 4 in, the output levels going to be really, really high, much higher than a normal kind of Tube Screamer type pedal. And if you drive it hard, you're going to get output clipping as well in that, which can sound a bit gnarly. You might not want that. And so we have higher voltages. You can run this on up to 30 volts. And those higher voltages will give you higher headroom, which will keep it sweet and open and clean. And you're with 2 or more of these down, you're really going to hear the difference from using a 12 or a 15 volt supply. And that was another thing I really wanted. I wanted to have that option in a way that works and makes it usable. So you're not just imagining it, you really hear that. Now, in terms of stacking, we don't have 4 pedals in here. We have one classic, authentic kind of circuit, which is very authentic where it matters. I kept the bits that really matter absolutely as close as I could. And the bits where I could play, I played. And so these stack the clipping stages was in it. So what you get is if you take silicon, which is quite a bluesy kind of sound, and the sweet, soft, very open germanium, and you press them both, you don't stack the 2 of them. What you get is don't stack them in terms of like one then the next. I mean, is you blend them so you get a sharp sound with the edge smoothed off, and you get the best of both worlds. Same with all the other ones. So if you're wondering how they sound, to me, the LED is a very forthright, big, bold rock and roll sound. It's used in a lot of amplifiers. as a clipping stage. Used classic sounds, of course, is the Marshall kind of sounds, and there are many others because the way they clip is so high up, they're so loud that they don't sound at all compressed. They sound really big and open. So you've got the rock and roll sounds, I think of it. We've got the Moss. Now, Mosfet is a really nice kind of way it clips. It creates these harmonics very tight, and I think that's to me, that's a really heavy rock, metal almost sound. And I think using the asymmetric with that helps sweeten it up and make it very sensitive and fluid. So I think that's very into your high gain kind of sounds for progressive or sort of tapping kind of work to my mind. Silicon, of course, is the classic. I mean, it just has the bluesy classic sound, and the germanium is so clean and so open that the gain control, the overdrive control, doesn't do a whole lot, if I'm honest. It's very subtle because it just stays clean and open. Now, let's dive into this a little bit. This is cool. Let's look inside it. So what I've got one out of the box, as it were. Yeah. So you can see what's going on here. Some of the cool things that are going on is my obsession for circuit design. There are no auto routers on this circuit board. It's all drawn by me, placed by me, because I wanted things to be a certain way. Maybe that makes a difference, maybe it doesn't, but there's some heart and soul in there. Take your pick. I also don't like those little thin wiggly lines of auto routers. I like chunky, curvy, beautiful swooshes, because I'm an artist. What can I say? You know, and I think it makes a better circuit board. I think it's the circuit board equivalent of point to point. It's heart and soul. And even placement. So you can see here the LEDs. There's the Mosfet. There's the silicon diodes. And there's the germanium diodes. So the structure flows through. The signal flows through. It's not bouncing around according to wherever the auto router thought it could fit a part. I fit the parts. I run the wires. And I make sure they take the shortest possible path in the way I want. The same kind of, if you look at the back, you could just about see between these little switch regions, you'll see the curves of wires bouncing from one to the next and back to keep that signal path the way I want. And again, you might say, oh, it makes no difference. Maybe it doesn't. I like that. Hopefully you do too. And the switches themselves, I've used cheaper switches in the past. I was never, I mean, they were all right, but I just thought I could do better. And so I tried these Alps ones, like expensive. They're probably the most expensive part on the board, actually. Let's listen to that. They're so good. The feel is so good. The quality is so good. I was blown away that even though they cost me money, like, yeah, that has to happen. So yeah, we've got these lovely, lovely Alps switches. All the parts in the order I want them to be. Circuit design, very hand-drawn, very curvaceous. You know, good screening as well, so very low noise. All of this lends itself to an incredible amount of low noise, as do the full-size metal film resistors with the high watches. So that creates lower noise, lower noise, lower noise. You know, and while we're in here, we've got some other cool things. Obviously, the standard pots that you find on most boutique pedals, which I prefer over the little plasticky ones that you get, which are perfectly okay. You know, in consumer gear, there's nothing wrong with them, but it's just nice. There's something psychologically nice about a traditional aluminium shafted pot off the board. I think, you know, in the mind, it's going to last longer. Maybe it will. You know, maybe it's smoother action. I don't know. I like them. What else we've got going on in here while we're at it? Let's have a look. We've got the Cliff jacks on the back. So Cliff are a UK design of jack. They're very compact, and unlike cheaper jacks, we have a much better coating. Nickel coating. It's thicker, it's heavier, and it's a better quality nickel silver coating on these, which lends itself to longer life, better conductivity. Your pedal's just going to last longer. Same reason I put this cool little chip, which is the one you can swap out if you want to try a different chip. There's some suggestions on the board. You can just pull that straight out the turned pin socket and put another one in and you're good to go. Any standard dual op amp will fit, you know. Pretty straightforward stuff there. Labeled, ready to go. Good fun. And these aren't Alps. These are sort of a copy of a Sony type switch, which I quite like. They're not a specific one, but again, like everything, I went, sourced, and found the parts I like. So going back to the outside, what else can we have a quick talk about today while I'm streaming this madness? Pot taper. It is just the standard. I kept that. That has to be exactly right. Now, these pedals, the original design, uses some unusual tapers. We have, of course, the W taper. Now, that's it's nearly only used in this pedal. Anything else, the smoothness of the tone is wrong. With the W taper, the correct taper pot, you get the perfect smoothness of tone control. I used it. Why would I not? linear for the output. Now on many other distortion pedals it's logarithmic, which is how the ear works. The ear works logarithmically. They use linear, I use linear. That gives you an all at once, like a lot is happening sense to the control, and log for the overdrive for the opposite reason, to give you a smooth sense of control. So they're almost backwards those, which is crazy. Most of the pedals would have them the other way around. But I love that. That's not my thing. I'm just sticking with authenticity. Same as, like I say, certain components on the board, I've kept the authenticity as close as I possibly can because they're the ones that matter. We've got a few other little bits and bobs that I'm particularly proud of, including this circuitry on the back. Now, they did make a high gain 2-screamer, and it's pretty cool, but I thought it went too much from nothing to everything. And so I did it my own way. So I separated out the bright. Now, it's not really a bright. It sounds like it makes it brighter. What actually happens is the tube screamer has a lot of high frequency roll off. It gives it that bluesy warm sound. And so this lessens the roll off. It just lets a little more sound through. It doesn't actually boost anything. It just reduces the cut. So that's pretty cool. May or may not like it. It's, again, I kept it just, I played with the values, and actually I like the values that, you know, they chose originally. So that's pretty cool. But that doesn't do any gain control. It just does the tone, which I thought was better separate, because you don't always want gain. Now the dirty I'm really proud of. That's based on the high gain, but with my own twist. So the high gain section happens before the overdrive control. So it doesn't just give it more gain, it actually changes the character of the pedal, makes it more fluid and responsive. So if you add high gain, then turn the gain down, for example, to match the gain in numerical sense, they'll just sound different. And this also has, I found, the other designs had a little bit of ringing, sometimes a bit of noise, things I didn't like, so I added some negative feedback all the way to it. And what that means is it stabilizes it like the feedback loop inside a tube amp with a presence control. It gives you a tighter sound, it tightens up the feel. So using the dirty control gives you more gain available, you don't have to use it, but it also tightens up the overall sound, which I think is particularly cool with the germanium. So the germanium's got that kind of cleanish sound, it's very open, and when you tighten that up with the dirty, it becomes like germanium but tight and a bit more angry. And that sound, that particular sound for me, oh yeah, you know, so there we go. So that's most of the things we're going to talk about. I mean, there's all little things like the trapezoidal enclosure that I've used for this. I'm going to keep using. I love it because I've always been a fan of unusual pedal boards with maybe a bit of a curve, and I think this is just born for that. Jacks on the back, gotta have jacks on the back. It's like the new law of pedals, isn't it? You know, who wants to waste that space at the side? We put them on the back so you can cram in more pedals. The foot switch, it's a little short throw, positive click. I quite like the click, alpha style one, and so we have to use a sort of Millennium style bypass circuit. So this is an unusual type of true bypass. I think the Rat used it, kind of, and there's a few others on. And what it means is I don't have to use the big, horrible, clunky 3PDT switches, the 3-pole ones that like a lot of others use, like Electro Harmonics use. No shame they want to use them, that's cool, but I don't like them. I think these have a nicer, shorter travel, so use some funky circuitry. So I think it's got a really good feel switch. We've got these great feeling, ultra high quality Alps things going on, stackable circuits. And in fact, there's 15 combinations of this. If you turn them all off, you get no clipping, which is rubbish, so don't turn them all off. There are 15 possible ons, times 2 gives us 60 possible switch combinations. So even before you touch control, you've got so much possibility. You know, and yeah, I think there we go. I'm very, very proud of this. I've got a lot more pedal designs in me I want to do, but I honestly, if I got like hit by a bus tomorrow, let's hope I don't, I'd be all right with it. You know, I think I've done something cool here. I hope you guys agree. Hope you all agree, guys and girls and everyone else. If you do, send me a message. I love to hear about it. Put a review up. Tell me what's going on. And in fact, for that matter, you know, hopefully we'll get some other people reviewing this soon and get it out there, because I want to make as many of these as possible. And then move on to my next project. So yeah, stop listening to me. Go play your guitar, and I'm gonna go chill and enjoy playing with my own pedal that I love so much. So thank you very much.